creating curiosity by asking better questions. This is Shed Talk. Andrea Deydey, an episode you don't want to miss. Having twins? An entrepreneur? What do you know what you don't know? Andrea Deydey.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm so good.
Thank you for coming on Shed Talk. I really appreciate it.
This is really interesting. I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Andrea. What do you do?
So, I, myself, and my business partner, Chris, we own Lighthouse Custom Homes. We are a luxury home builder in Calgary, Alberta. We're the people that have solved, I think we're trying anyway, to solve the problem of like making high-end luxury custom as easy as possible.
Okay, so I got a question. What is luxury?
Different things to different people.
And that's a great, because it's kind of like that costing. Well, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't always have to be.
Yeah. What is expensive? It can be anything we want. Yeah, exactly. Anything you want to be. So what is a luxury?
Yeah. So I feel like everybody has a different definition. I mean, my personal definition is something that makes you feel good. It could be, a bathroom that costs you $2,000. It could be a bathroom that costs you $200,000 or something like that. Sometimes people it's really where you came from. Sometimes people in I guess what I'm finding, people's definition of luxury is completely different. You get people who have grown up in luxury. So as a child, they had their own bathroom or whatever. I mean, as a child, I grew up with one bathroom between six of us. So my definition of luxury is different than potentially a lot of my clients. Right. So that's been, to be honest, a bit of an interesting journey for me personally as well. Right. Where I'm selling a product that is luxury. How do you define that for people, and how do you make them feel like that good experience? Right. So that's I guess my 2 cents on what is luxury is that it's completely individual.
So as in building a custom house or anything like that, when we talk about luxury, we talk about the market and stuff like that, and people are looking at houses at 600,000 or houses at $1 million. Is it all about location?
Once again, that's unique to the people, right? Sometimes, I mean, going back to luxury is an experience. It doesn't have to be a thing, right? So sometimes it's selling an experience, not selling a house, right? Like if you're trying to tell someone what is luxury, it's like, well, I don't know. I want to be able to talk to the person that I'm talking to at any time of the day. That's a luxury. Okay, cool. So I think that definition of luxury is very, very varied from person to person. I do think too, though, specifically with what your question, like location and luxury. I mean, it's funny. You get communities like Bridgeland in the northeast of Calgary, right? Like Bridgeland was always not luxury, and then 20 years ago, it started to be okay. There's pop-ups of infills. And now there's this amazing high street, and there's new high-rise condos that are actually gorgeous. A good friend of mine used to live in Bridgeland. Chris, my business partner, used to live in Bridgeland. So the definition of luxury in communities, specifically in Calgary, has changed over time too. And that's like what is so interesting to me. Obviously, like where our show home is in Watermark, like it's always been a luxurious community. There's no contest there. But I think that's where it gets interesting in the inner city neighborhoods where luxury changes. You're the up and coming neighborhoods. What's next?
So as when you're okay, let's get back now. Let's get really into the luxury part.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna flip
Do it. Love it.
I'm totally gonna flip this. Is that how many actual women entrepreneurs are in the building industry as homeowners? I know a couple.
So as home builders?
As home builders.
Yeah. So I mean,
as in luxury.
Yeah. There's, the obvious one that everybody knows is Allison at Rockwood Homes. Mm-hmm. I think she's a legend in the industry. She does a lot of very beautiful luxury homes. That to me is a very luxurious brand. She does a great job. I don't know her. I just follow her and admire her. There's a few other women home builders, but honestly, I don't really have a strong connection with anyone really in that world. Surprisingly, I don't really. I'm in the home industry, and I look at it, and you look at really powerful women.
in this industry, and I only know a couple like yourself. And then that's why I wanted you on here, because when you talk about an entrepreneur, a woman that's startup, like how did you get yourself started up as a woman? Okay, you're in an industry that's dominated by men. Okay, dealing with men on the build. Okay, your trade suppliers, and to be that special person. How did you get started into this?
I think that's maybe the biggest thing is that I don't really see myself as special. I don't see myself as that it's strange that I'm in this position. I was lucky enough to start my career and had a lot of opportunity in that to grow in that career. And then when I had a crossroads basically where I had to decide, were Chris and I going to start Lighthouse or was I going to work for someone else? And at that point it was kind of interesting because I didn't want to work for someone else. And there was no option to work for someone that I really looked up to. So I kind of had to make the decision to almost do it myself. Like I'm almost like an accidental entrepreneur because I didn't really find that there was a space for me in a company that I really aligned with. So, when we were talking early days about doing this and doing Lighthouse, it was kind of like, well, I don't think there's really any other option. Like we got to do this. So I kind of found myself in a position where, hey, if I want to do it the way that we wanted to do it, then I needed to make sure that we could craft this out ourselves and not have to follow the lead of someone else, but rather carve our own path. And so I kind of landed into this role of being the business owner. I won't say by choice because it was a conscious choice, but not because I felt like I wanted to break barriers and be a woman entrepreneur and all of this. I just wanted to do things in the way that I felt was right. And I wasn't finding anybody besides Chris that would aligned with that vision that we had, and we had it together. So that was like forging our own little path. So, but yeah.
So when you're starting off and you're ready to go and start up this business, and getting into the home business is not an easy task as going in there. It's a big investment, big time, and big commitment on everything that you do. And being a young entrepreneur at yourself, because this was your
20, first. How old was I? I was 30. Well, it was 2016. I was 32. I was 32 when we opened Lighthouse. And you think back, that was when I was married, but I didn't have any children at the time. I don't know if you know this about me, actually. So we opened the business in January 17. That was kind of nuance search date, incorporation date, let's go. And we started excavation on our first project in July or August that year, just an inner city infill in South Calgary. And anyway, so moving along, that October of 2017, we found out that we were pregnant, my husband and I, which was great. We had been trying actually to have children for a while and struggling. So anyway, down that road, we found out we were pregnant in October. Didn't we find out we were pregnant with twins in December? So funny story, you fast forward until May 2018 when the kids were born. April 2018 was when the spec home that we had, our first project, was complete. And I'll tell you right now, if you want to sell a home, get a pregnant woman to sell the home. Because I was working the show home. I had this tight little dress on with my big belly out, and literally everybody that came into that show home, spec home, was like, "Wow!" Like everybody loves a pregnant woman, right? So it was a really special time. The timeline, you think about it like, okay, let's open a business and try to get pregnant at the same time, then find out you're having twins, then sell your first spec home successfully, move on to the next project. Like, it was a really exciting time, complete blur. I mean, I wasn't really sleeping a lot. 2-month-old children at the same time that we were turning over homes. Anyway, so I think that was like a really interesting, chaotic, busy, exciting, inspiring time in my life, like becoming a business owner at the same year, or I guess the next year, of becoming pregnant and a mother for the first time. So that was like I don't know if you knew that about me, but
no, and I'm actually sitting here, I'm in awe, because all of a sudden you'd be thinking, I'm going, and I know what I did to start my business and what it took, and then the mindset in doing this, but here you are,
yeah,
twins, pregnant, and you make the comment, very exciting, and it's all that, and I'm going, exciting and all that. But where's the scary come into play?
There's no time to be scared. We were too busy not sleeping and trying to make stuff work. The other complication of all of this too is, you go into a business. We weren't pregnant at the time. I mean, in Chris's defense too, he entered into a business partnership with a woman who didn't have any children. He knew I was trying to have children. And so it was a really exciting period for me personally, but also a very stressful time too. Like, I won't glaze over that. And a time in my life where I knew that we were the only chance for my husband and I and my children to be supported and successful was if I had the help of people around me, right? Like, I mean, I had the help of my family, my friends, to be able to start Lighthouse and encourage that. And then, the help of Chris, obviously. We contracted out some interior design. We contracted sales. We contracted all the things that. So Chris was managing the construction side of things and the business development with me. I was doing more of the upfront sales, selections, customer service, that side. And then once I had to take some time off, like physically, I could not take time off. So I had about 3-4 months off. And during that time, Chris did a lot of my roles. We contracted some roles. I'd take a phone call or two, but basically, I mean, I shouldn't be on the phone. I was not sleeping and not even really human at that time.
Well, no doubt. And
Yeah.
you're thinking about, it's like time management. Like, was there a course? Was there anybody that you were looking up to? Like, and I don't mean looking up
Yeah.
to as an individual, but going, okay, how does this look? Like, what is my day going to look like? I've got my kids and I'm fully engulfed in them. How does
Yeah.
the time management as a woman, like, as a man, it doesn't matter who it
Yeah.
is, but how
Yeah.
did time management sit in?
You, honestly, like, you kind of didn't. Like, what we had to do was pre-plan as much. So when I was pregnant, it was calm. I was lucky enough to have a really calm pregnancy. I wasn't sick. I was actually at a fantastic pregnancy. So that was really nice for me because I was able to logically think about, what are my roles? How do I fill those? What if something were to go wrong? Like, what if I had to take a full month, or what if I had to, sorry, a full year? What if I had to take more time? Like, you just gotta plan for every situation and then make it work. So we were able, like, myself and Corey, my husband, and then myself and Chris, my business partner, were able to kind of plan, like, what happens if this happens? What happens if this happens, in both aspects of, like, personal and business. And I was lucky enough to have a network of people that were willing to help me and, like, step up to the plate to either be contracted or to just do extra to fulfill what I wasn't doing at that time. So the time management aspect of everything was really just conversations while I was pregnant. And then whenever things came up, it was easy to make decisions because we had prepped the conversations. So to me, the time management was really about pre-planning what was the inevitable.
And then all of a sudden getting sales and then keeping going and keeping on top of that because you needed to grow.
Yep.
So you have one after another. And he's looking after the construction side of it.
Yep.
Who's doing the sales side?
Him.
Wow.
Yeah, he really did a lot at that time.
And then why only 3 months? Why not 6?
I don't know. In all honesty, being a mom of twins is really hard. Like, this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I think one of the hardest jobs in the world, like for me, going to work as Lighthouse was almost a break from being at home with the hardest job I've ever had, which is being a mom and being a parent. I think that that's something that a lot of people don't, I guess, say very often, but like, to me, that it is the hardest job in the world. And Corey has said this to me too. He's like, because he works full time too. He's a shift worker. So he, when he would go to work, it would almost be a break to go to work because it was so intense at home. We had 2. They were both NICU. They were both underweight a little bit, not for long. Like Maria, my daughter, was healthy and was out of the hospital within a couple of days, but my son was in the NICU for 2 weeks. So there was commuting, there was sleeping, and sorry, when I say sleeping, I mean not sleeping.
Right.
And then all of that came about from that. So Chris really stepped up from that. I only took the 3-4 months. I mean, I shouldn't say that so flippantly. It was 3-4 months completely off. And then after that, I came back kind of on a part-time. We had a nanny come into our home to help us with some of the at-home duties and at-home work so that I was able to come back in. So, yeah.
So with women that are pregnant, so you look at it as an entrepreneur with yourself, twins going in there, and you had just mentioned about people that don't ask that question about going back to work. Can you explain a little bit more about the twins and what you face, and from your experience having kids and growing with that and going back to work? Like, yes, you said going back to work is like a break,
Yeah.
but share a little bit more about that hardship of the twins going through that. Like, what you can share there.
Yeah, for sure. So just as a side note too, my kids are 5. They're in kindergarten now. So we're in a little bit of a more relaxed headspace now. Not many people know really a lot of people know what it's like to have one child at one time, a newborn at a time. There's another layer of complexity of having 2 newborns at one. Like you think about the physical needs of a newborn, and then just doubling that. So, for the first 6 months, I was probably getting about an hour or 2 max of sleep at one given time. So as a normal human, you try to encouraging your child to be able to sleep for longer periods of time. Well, some do and some don't. When you have one and maybe they're not sleeping super well, it's difficult to manage. When you have 2, it's impossible to manage because literally they would be up 24 hours a day, one or the other. And that's where we're only getting 1 or 2 hours of sleep at a time. So that first 6 months was very difficult, to say the least.
Would you give any advice to anybody to say, okay, here's a life hack that you learned while you're doing that?
Choose your partner wisely. My husband is an incredible father. He's a great support to me. I couldn't have done any of that without him. I don't know what it's like to have a singleton. I'm sure it's very difficult. And I think about one-on-one. You have one child, one parent, right? That's what it should be. Twins and triplets. Triplets, good Lord, these people are saints. One-on-one. I had Maria, Corey had Jack. We'd switch off. I would say having twins and having a singleton, probably the success of your parenthood becomes into the success of your relationship and how you can complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. So that was huge for us. Us as a relationship and a couple, we grew so much stronger after that experience that we had. Number one, he's supportive of my business. And then of course he's stepping into a role that, it just kind of is more like the biological features of a woman. You're delivering a child, you're breastfeeding, you're doing most of the heavy lifting when it comes to the child in a traditional role. And with twins and specifically triplets, there's 2 people that have to share that role equally. There's just no choice, right? So I would say that's that's a big one.
That's a huge one. And then being an entrepreneur and all of a sudden putting that back out there, and you're still going to be, okay, I got to get back to work. So, okay, I got to generate. And was it more of that, I got to go back to work because I need to generate revenue? Or is it more about, I want to go back to work because I love the passion of the home building?
I love creating and I love relationships with people. So the whole idea of Lighthouse is, and my why, I guess, why I own a home building company is I love the relationship with people. Like you're in a family's life for sometimes as much as 3 years. By the time you're doing design, the build, and then the warranty and service period, you become that person's real guide. They look to you for, hey, me, my husband, my kids, what this problem came up, what do you think I should do? And they really look to you for that. And I love having that relationship with people. So it's really special. So for me, going right back into that was really rewarding for me. I have a fantastic relationship at home with my kids and husband. And then to be able to have that relationship here and then the relationship with my clients here and have both people and have, I always say there's almost a 5 pillars of people in your life, right? You've got your family, you've got work, you've got friends, you've got like sisters and extended families like that. If you can make all of these people happy and have a little bit in your bucket for everyone, that's the ideal life. But it's really hard to find that balance, right? You get work, you get family, you get extended family, you get friends, you get yourself. You should probably focus on yourself a little bit. You've really kind of achieved what you should be achieving in life, which is this incredible balance, which is so hard.
As an entrepreneur, because we look at it, and I always look at the thing as an entrepreneur, there's no such thing as life work balance, because you're either in it or you're out of it. And then people say, here's your pillars. I need to fill those up. And this will be a good question, is that when you say your life balance and going through there, how many hours do you work a day?
Well, it depends on what you define as work. Right. So my day, in the morning I'm up and I'm emailing kind of as much as I can before the kids go down, before the kids get up. And then they're up for, the morning, and we take them to school now, which is a very interesting part. They're into kindergarten. And then I start my real work day, kind of like that 9 o'clock area, just kind of like everyone. And then, you break until kids get home, like you work until kids get home at 4:35, and then it's dinner and it's homework and it's activities and it's skating and it's ballet. And then the kids go to bed at 8. And then at 8, that's when you make the lunches for the next day, you clean up the kitchen, hang out, whatever. And then it's 9. And then you're like, okay, I got an hour. So what do we do then? And then you go to bed, and then you start the whole thing over the next day. Weekends are kind of like a crapshoot. That's when you have to choose what you're doing, whether you're spending time supporting your staff or, doing some behind the scenes work, the whole, urgent, not important, important, urgent, like all those boxes that you have to like get some stuff done. When do you get them done? On a Saturday morning? Who do you sacrifice? Do you sacrifice time with your kids, or do you sacrifice time on your work? Either way, it's a sacrifice and a choice. So that's been a struggle for me, to be honest, when it comes to balancing that. You can't make everyone happy all the time. So as much as you're trying to fill those 5 buckets, you're always dropping a ball, right?
Oh man,
there's always something. Yeah.
and then and you look at young people nowadays, and then all of a sudden they're getting into a house, doing this, and having a family, and then figuring out how to juggle. And they go, how do people ever do this? As in, especially, and they want to start up a business, and then have everything that where you're at and where you're going.
Yeah.
So it's got to be pretty exciting times for yourself.
It is. Yeah. Like I even think about the future is bright. I mean, Lighthouse is almost 8 years old now. I think we learned a lot of hard lessons in our first 5-6 years. We started, inner city acreage, that specialty. A huge pivot in our company was when we committed to build the show home in Watermark. And when that happened, it completely changed our business. We went from me and Chris and doing, 8 homes a year, 6 homes a year, 7 homes a year comfortably. And then, this year we're on track to have 15 contracts. Like we doubled our business, and more than doubled our business. It's crazy. And with that, doubled our staff, like tripled our staff. So now it took it from a small business to a business that you actually have to work on the business instead of building homes. That's been a big shift for us for the last 3 years since becoming a show home builder in Watermark.
Interesting. And so jumping into the show home, was that your biggest step, like going to build a show
By
home?
far. By far.
Really?
Yeah. If you think about even just the financial commitment, it's a $2 million investment. When we made the commitment to get into Watermark, it was not a great time in Calgary. It was 2019, I guess, right? Yeah.
Is that gonna go
2018, I guess. Or yeah, I guess it was 2019 when we made the commitment and started building. But and then opened the doors of the show home wearing masks in the middle of COVID, right? So really interesting in that we made the commitment prior to COVID when Calgary was in a bit of a dip. There wasn't really much going on, and everyone was kind of scared and all that. And then COVID happened, and the world changed. And we have, rode that wave. We sold that show home last year, and we opened up our second show home this year. And with that came a lot of lessons, coming into an established community with established builders as competition, trying to develop our systems and try to, keeping that feel that we have as that luxury home building experience, and making sure that our clients always knew that they were number one to us. Training new people, getting all kinds of systems into place, like being able to compete with established builders of long-standing systems and processes, whereas we are kind of like the fresh face, right? We were almost like the new kid on the block for a while. So being able to coach our staff to be able to, keep that feeling that Chris and I wanted to have when somebody walked into our homes, what they felt like and what that experience was like. And I feel like the staff that we have everybody, like, I love our staff. Our staff is incredible. And they really have kept that up. Like, it's been really awesome to see everybody grow within our company. So it's been great.
So when COVID hit,
Yeah.
okay, so COVID hits and it hit everybody, because just before we got on air here, we were talking, was that I knew some people that were in the hospitality industry. All right, bomb just went off. Everybody's all on an equal playing field around the world. Here, everything's closed. Here we are in the home industry.
Yeah.
What's going through your head at that particular time?
I think we were actually part of the lucky ones. We have, the way our business works is that, you make a commitment to build a house, and we have a year to fulfill that commitment. So, you sign an agreement, we build out. We probably had like 3 or 4 months of uncertainty, but everything with COVID moved so fast. Like people were shifting their mindsets. It's like good, it's bad, it's the end of the world, it's an opportunity. Like everything was crazy at that time. And I feel like we kind of rode through the wave a little bit and were able to almost help people with a solution to be like, well, guess I'm working from home forever. I need another office. I can't stand having my kids home and my wife home or my husband home and everybody in the same place. I can't have a Zoom meeting because my kid is walking into the room. I need a quiet space. I need a lock on my door. I need an extra office. So we were almost a solution for people over COVID. Because it's like, okay, well, number one, I'm not spending money like I used to, and this is terrible, like going out and, spending money on restaurants and bars, which is terrible for that industry, right? And then the travel industry, like completely went like way down, right? But all these people had a little bit more money to increase their budget on getting a luxury home in the community of Watermark. So for us, it was actually an exciting time. Like after everybody was not so worried about, dropping dead.
Right.
After that, we were able to be a solution for people to be able to, live their new life and their new their 3-day work week or they're at home part-time and at the office part-time. So we were able to actually help people with that, which was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what about, so now let's get into that, is where we are today. COVID's gone through, we went through that. Now, all of a sudden, here we are. I don't know if they're calling it a labor shortage. We have a
good God,
shortage
yeah.
on this and that, but we've always had that shortage. Oh, never 2014, and they said this. We've got this. We're short on housing now. More rental properties. How do you feel about that, Des?
I think the housing in Calgary, this city with their, programs on rental properties is smart. Like they're trying to work into the right direction. But I mean, you know as well as I do. And when it comes to the talented labor pool, that's what makes our company, I think, in a good position. Like obviously we've had a longstanding relationship with you guys at Spindle Stairs and Railing. And a lot of our trades, we've had a lot of years together where we support each other, we support each other's businesses. So I feel lucky because we have established good relationships with really talented trades, and we can carry those relationships through some turbulent times. So maybe if there's a shortage, well, we know we have these core 4 guys that have been with you have been with you for years, like your installers or the electricians that we have or the plumbers that we have or the HVAC guys we have, whoever, that I think that it's more crucial than ever in a people-based business like the trades and the trades relationships to treat people with respect, to give people, good work to do, to communicate with them in an effective manner, to just have a respectful relationship. Like I think that's really where the success of every company comes into play, is with the people and the relationships that it has. So I don't think the trades are any different. That it's like if you treat people with respect and you respect their time and pay them fairly and on time and all the things that people just as naturally would expect and want, then you're already a step ahead of maybe your competition.
Yeah, so. We recognize in the trade industry, so if we go back years ago, and then people would always say, you know what, it's better to be a doctor, it's better to be a lawyer, you know what, go back to school, go to university, don't take a trade, you'll make way more money being a doctor, lawyer. Fast forward, are you kidding? Right now, they make great money, trades.
And they get to work with their hands. It's a creative. You get to see what you build. This is actually why I chose this career. I used to be in health and fitness, and I found it a not rewarding career in that not everybody had the success story like you had, Kevin. And a lot of people come to a personal trainer or a gym and they, do it for January. It's their New Year's resolution and then they quit. And that's a really soul crushing thing in a trainer's mind or a gym owner's mind or whatever. You have certain influence over some people's life, but not lasting. Whereas like in construction, if, wife and husband are like, you know what, I want this house and I want that hardwood floor in my house. I can be like, you know what, you want it, you got it. Yeah. Like I was able to actually come through on promises that I'm making to people, as opposed to my past career in health and fitness, where I could preach from the rooftop, but I couldn't guarantee a result because it was in their hands. Right. With what their dreams are and their dreams for a home, it was able to be my hands. Like I was able to work with my hands and my computer and my phone to actually build people what they want through those trades that we have, right? So that was a kind of like I work in the trades. I am a tradesperson. I'm not skilled on tools, but I'm skilled with a computer and conversation. So that's where I bring my trade skills to the table.
And we call that your superpower. So what is your superpower? So bringing that trades to the schools.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Andrea Deydey, thank you very much for joining us on Shed Talk. And any last words you want to say about anything?
No, I just think that we're going to have a great year to 2024. I'm excited to see what happens in 2024. We've got a lot of big plans. I'm sure everyone does. 2023 was a crazy year, and I'm sure 2024 will be another crazy year just because this is the world we live in. But I'm excited to kind of see where we'll be at this time next year.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thanks,
Thanks,
Evan.
Andrea. Thanks for coming on board.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now you know. Shed Talk.